これでプリキュアともヒーリングバイかな。
Okay, while I do think the fangirls go a little too crazy over this dude, I gotta give credit where it's due. That was a great line. Opening right where we left off last week, the Precure had made their way to Shindoinen and her Mega Byogen. They engaged it, and over the span of the opening and first commercial break, they were swatted away by the big guy. Still, they managed to swim around the monster and defeated it in less than a minute. Yeah, blame it on the marketing team, considering what's coming up. Yeah, I get that we only have so much time in the episode, but it's still disappointing that Shindoinen got jobbed out so heavily. Still, they weren't out of the woods, as there was still one more Mega Byogen left. So, after collecting the Water Elemental's power, they made haste to Darizen's monster, and unsurprisingly, it managed to spread its influence across almost an entire meadow and had evolved into... which one should I go with? You know what? I think I can actually meet in the middle. Sure enough, Bile Audrey proved to be more than formidable. Not only were her vines strong, but the battlefield itself was a slippery mess due to all of the infection. This made outrunning its next attack particularly difficult. Wow, Content4 got a serious buff in Gen 8. Unable to outrun it, they had to rely on their shields, which after expending a little extra to protect Latte, sent our heroines blasting off again. Following this, the monster gave birth to a facehugger, I think, or is it going to be a different alien? Well, anyway, our protagonists ended up landing in the middle of the woods, where they had some time to all recover. Well, almost all of them, as Lotte's condition was only getting worse, and okay, it's kind of weird seeing Hinata without her jacket on. But yeah, while cradling the sick puppy in her arms, she began doubting their abilities as Precure. To make matters worse, Ravelin explained how the metal might suffer irreversible damage. With that, everyone started blaming themselves for stuff like being unable to defeat the Mega Byogen one-on-one, or suggesting they split up at the museum. Again, I really like how all of the characters in the show reflect on their actions and choices. They want to become the best heroes possible, so recognizing when they make mistakes is a crucial step. Actually, that wasn't quite as bad. As I said last week, in a battle like this, there were a lot of variables that our protagonists had no real control over that made figuring out what's the right or wrong choice a very dubious matter. Key among them was them not knowing how much the time lag would affect the strength of the Mega Byogen. In a case like this, at least it's more of a case of inexperience versus incompetence. Thus, while I'm not a fan of that phrase, Nodoka did have a point that, at least compared to her own legit blunders, her friends only made minor miscalculations because of a lack of intel, and even bailed her out. Most importantly, they were at least trying to make the right calls and weren't actively trying to abandon any of the elementals. This was also likely the case for the doctors who worked tirelessly to help Nodoka through her condition. Thus, thanks to her words of encouragement, the team was ready for round 2. Only problem was, they had no idea where they were relative to the Mega Byogen, and Latte was too sick to point them in the right direction. No, unfortunately something that awesome doesn't happen. Though, something at least heartwarming happened when the elementals of the forest pointed them in the direction of the Mega Byogen. And during the commercial break, the Precure strategized a quick plan to defeat the Mega Byogen, which was basically go in with a full-on blitzkrieg and try to win in a battle of attrition. Obviously, there were more steps, like neutralizing the exploding dandelions and pinning down its vines, that at first did work and allowed Nodoka to land a clean hit. But again, there were variables they were unaware of, like this thing having a tail, which I'm pretty sure you won't find in any biology book. They still kept up their attacks, but it was clear the enemy had much more endurance than them. To make matters worse, Darizen allowed them to regretfully perform a cure scan to see that the flower elemental had pretty much given up as it was about to be completely drained. However, just like the doctor who had comforted Nodoka many years prior, the Precure told the elemental about all of its brethren who had worked together to ensure its health. Thus, it provided them with what little power it had, which combined with the other base elements of the Precure, resulting in...
I'm genuinely surprised it took me this long to make a Symphogear reference for this series.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the awesomeness of the X-Drive forms, but rather a new toy that, oh, okay, that's actually a fair price all things considered. And I guess you get what you pay for, as other than producing an Oasis behind them, it was a fairly basic new group attack, though I did like the group Odaijini, that's cute. Anyway, they rescued the flower elemental, but there were still consequences for the team's mistakes, as we could see that the metal had many brown spots and would take a while before it fully recovered, likely the same amount of time it would take in real life. Thankfully though, Latte received instant treatment thanks to their new elemental bottle.
Yeah, sounds like an easy enough name to copyright.
Afterwards, they were found by their homeroom teacher, who I'll admit I'm starting to kind of like after seeing him perform a very dramatic sigh of relief after finding his students. Likewise, Queen Teatinu, who had been watching over them throughout the episode, was relieved, but felt something was a little off.
Oh, don't worry, Queenie. I'm sure it's nothing.
You gotta be kidding.
While certainly not able to match up with the intense drama of last week, this was still a good dramatic episode where the stakes did feel rather high, and there was a decent amount of action. I will say the new combination attack is nothing to write home about, but hey, at least Darizen was awesome in this one.
I will say, something I'm really liking about this season is how, for a show about a team of adolescent girls fighting giant representations of a current pandemic, the battles here feel surprisingly real, or at least as real as they could be, all things considered. The protagonists use strategies while also constantly moving and contributing something to the fight. You'll never see them waiting their turn to land a blow on the monster, which adds to the intensity of the fight. This is important as many Mega Byogen aren't the same, with this week having a very unique fight with a monster that controlled the field, had an AoE attack, and multiple strong appendages. Thus, it was a shame that this and the river monster fight were cut short because they needed to introduce a new toy. Honestly, I don't care how flashy a group finisher is at this point, and at least this whole sequence isn't all that long at all, but I did feel like it ended up cutting both fights short, especially the first one. However, two things from this episode did kind of make up for it. One being the protagonists critiquing themselves and seeming to resolve to improve based on the preview for next week. The fact that there were significant consequences this time really helped to drive home this point. The other major up being Darizen just being a cool, witty villain. Seriously, for such a seemingly lazy bum, he has some of the best quips, and now I'm starting to sound like one of those fangirls. Still, he's awesome, and the fact that he managed to walk away with a minor victory thanks to the damage he caused and the thing he created really makes him a standout villain. Overall, while not as good as last week, this was still a decent follow-up, and I look forward to seeing what this little bit of pure nightmare fuel will result in. Also, while I won't count this towards the show proper, I will say I really appreciate the fact that they're using this series to promote washing your hands in the current climate. Really good form there, Toy.
I just wanted to take a second to really thank you guys for letting this channel grow to 5K. I mean, I didn't want to make too big a deal out of it or anything, but at the same time, you guys really do deserve a lot of praise for letting this channel grow as much as it has, so thanks. Anyway, with things seeming like they've kind of peaked over here, I should be able to continue production on my happiness charge reviews really soon, like maybe at the end of the month or so. To fill in the gap in between and even kind of celebrate the 5,000 milestone, I'm working on a small side project that should be out by the end of the month or so. Look forward to it, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, And I gotta say, this is the only magical girl anime that's made me want to rewatch this. So, yeah, just gotta make sure my flamethrower is ready and everything, just in case.